right, good afternoon, Mr. Bowles. How you doing today?
Pretty good,
I'm doing good. I just wanna take a few minutes out of your time to just kinda go over, feedback regarding Monday's, observation I did on you. We're gonna just pretty much go over what we do when we do a feedback, session. I'm gonna coach you, however, we always start with celebrations. And then after celebrations, I want you to actually kinda talk through what is it that you observed, what did you notice based on your, video recordings? And then we're gonna talk about what went well, what were some successes, as well as identify any gaps that, you may have observed during the time. And then come up with an action step together, as well as practice and modeling, and then you'll be free to go. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good.
All right, so I wanna just start off by just saying thank you for allowing me to come in your class daily to just kinda give you coaching in a moment. However, let's focus on Monday's lesson, which was over B.7B, which ultimately consists of natural selection and adaptations. So I'm gonna start off with your celebration. Okay, so you did a great job incorporating paper pointing strategies. It was good to see that. That's a new strategy that we implemented in science. So it was good to see the students actually had their paper pointing strategies and they're showing their thoughts on paper. So as I came in and kind of walked around the room, I did see evidence of students' thought process on paper. And I know you did a good job with explaining as far as the importance of that, because 100% of your students actually was showing their thoughts on paper. We know that STAR is quickly approaching and the test is not going to be on paper, it's going to be online. However, we're going to start that practice so we can actually identify any gaps students may have, and also things that they're doing well. We want to also praise them on that so they can continue to do that. Okay, so thank you for doing that. All right, so at this time, I just want to focus on how to model the paper partner strategy. Okay, so and how to annotate with even more detail in order for the students to have a clear expectation of how and what to actually put on that paper partner strategies. Okay, we call that screen to scratch. Science is paper partner strategies. It's kind of like a cool way of saying screen to scratch. But before we actually get started with you actually kind of looking over your video, I want you to just kind of tell me what are some key steps into having a successful paper partner strategies. What are some things that are look fors?
I'm looking for a detailed explanation of each of the steps. I expect when I model it, I want them to do the exact same thing. So, for example, when I do the focus, I want them to tell me what we've been learning. I want them to tell me if it was natural selection, evolution. I want them to tell me why they think it's that topic or focus. And then for key information, I want them to actually use their brains instead of just writing random words down. I need them to actually think. Because on the STAR, they won't be able to just blah, 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 because it's not going to help them actually get the answer. Then for the final step, I want them to justify their answer and put why they chose the answer, not just because I chose it. I need them to think and see what they're missing, see what they're, what the misconceptions are. I need to see what the thought process are.
All right, so at this time, I'm going to actually share your video of of the observation I did on Monday. And I just kind of want you to observe and just look to see as far as what you did well, and then also were there any gaps to what we talked about as far as implementing paper partner strategies and what are the components that is needed. Okay.
All right, this is an example, y'all. Just take out some paper slip. I'll go for it. So the equation said, female white cell did begin a reproductive cycle in the fall. Rising testosterone levels in male white cell did cause them to start breeding season around the same time, right? What is the most likely explanation for white cell did having a seasonal breeding cycle instead of a monthly breeding cycle?
All right, Mr. Bowers. Now we're going to actually take the time. I want you to actually kind of share out what were your observations, and particularly what were some gaps that you saw yourself doing compared to what you know the expectation is for trying to model and implement paper partner strategies for yourself.
Some gaps, I would say speaking too fast, that is a big gap. Not allowing the students enough time to actually write down what I'm saying. So when I would give them feedback, I would move on to the next focus, like the section is key information, and then I would go over there real fast without giving them enough information, time to actually absorb information and actually understand what I'm talking about. That's the biggest gap that I see. From that.
Okay, all right, thank you for sharing. What I wanna actually, stress with paper partner strategies is very important that you model your whole entire thinking process. Not only that you're speaking through your thought process, but you also wanna scribe on the board. So you're creating pretty much you have your exemplar, right? But then when you're on the board, you also wanna stamp what exactly, how you want students to write down. So you have your thought process, but actually, what does that look like on paper? So for example, you were saying focus, you were saying, no, and then solve, FKS, however, they didn't see it on the board. So sometimes kids may forget, you know, when it's time for them to do it, it's like, okay, what do I need to do first? But if you actually had that visual up there right along with your question, it can kind of guide them in that structure. So you were giving them answers or, you know, kind of probing them, however, it wasn't stamped on the board, okay? So that moves us to the what and the how. So I'm gonna actually stamp what is that we're going to focus on, what is gonna be your action step, and we're gonna focus on model the thinking and not just the procedure. So your whole thought process, you're gonna model, but you're gonna model in communication, but also on the board. All right, so at this time, I'm going to give you about a minute to kind of jot down some thoughts as far as your annotations, and then you're going to model with those upgrades. So you want to incorporate your focus, your key information, your solving, justifying. You're just going to do your role play, and then I'm going to provide based on those upgrades. All right, is there anything else before?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, so I just want to make sure I stamp understanding. So you're going to model how you're going to implement paper partner strategies as you go over your star line question. So you're going to annotate. You're going to take a minute to script your I do, okay? You're going to annotate your thought process, but you're also going to annotate your focus, your know, and your solve.
Okay.
All right, so let's take about 1 minute and kind of jot down how you're going to go about doing it.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Bowers, before you get to model, there's some key things that I would like for you to add in your thought process. So when we're focusing on our paper partner strategies, I want you to focus on what the question is actually asking, and then the overall main idea or the big concept, okay? And the key information could be vocabulary words, those active vocabulary that actually trigger kids to remember certain concepts, any type of mnemonic devices, anything that's related to that actual standard or that question that helps them become successful. And as well as including your justifications of your correct answers, as well as possibly your thought process in eliminations.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead and get ready.
Class, as you know, we're moving away from rubies and on to the new strategy, paper partner strategies, because the STAR is online and we need you to actually put your thoughts on ways that we can work with you. So the first step that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use rubies because that's what we've been doing. Rubies, the R stands for read the question, so I'm gonna read the question. White-tailed deer are seasonal breeders. Female white-tailed deer begin a reproductive cycle in the fall. Rising testosterone levels in male white-tailed deer cause them to start breeding season around the same time. Offspring are born the following summer and spring. What is the most likely explanation for white-tailed deer having a seasonal breeding cycle instead of a monthly breeding cycle like many domesticated animals? Okay, I read the question. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna underline the question. What is the most likely explanation for white-tailed deer having a seasonal breeding cycle instead of a monthly breeding cycle like many domesticated animals? After I've underlined the question, I'm gonna bracket keywords. What are some keywords you might ask? Keywords can be seasonal breeding, right? Monthly breeding, deer reproductive cycle, offspring, and spring and summer. I've bracketed my keywords. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna identify the key concepts. So I'm gonna identify these words. What do they mean to me? The deer reproductive cycle means to be deer or having children. I'm gonna write that down. Spring and summer, I know those are seasons. Offspring, to me, those are children. Okay, monthly breeding, that is months have children. And then seasons, that's gonna be seasons have children to me.
You know I'm coming to get up.
All right, after I've identified those key concepts, guys, I'm going to eliminate two answer choices. What are some answer choices that are obviously wrong to me? F, male and female deer come into contact with each other only in the fall. Well, I know that male and female, again, I'm writing this down, male and female deer are always in contact. The next thing that's obviously wrong would be G. Large predators are not found in deer habitats during the spring and the summer months. Well, that's wrong. Large predators are in fact always found in deer habitats. All right, those are the steps of rubies that I've just shown you guys. The next thing we're going to be doing is paper partner strategies, which is what I want y'all to do. So the first box in paper partner strategies is going to be focus. What is the overall question talking about? Well, I know the question is talking about the deer reproductive cycle. The question is also talking about natural selection. Why are these deer benefiting from having their children in the spring and summer instead of the winter? So that's what I should have on the focus. I'm talking about, I want to see what the whole question is talking about. The next category we have is key concepts. So for F, what are some key concepts? Well, those words that are bracketed are going to be our key concepts. We have spring, summer. We have deer, reproductive cycle. What else is important? We have offspring. All these words are going to help me get the answer. What else is important to me? Monthly versus seasonal breeding, right? All right, now I got my key concepts. Everything that's going to help me solve the answer, I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So right here, I'm going to write S. We're going to solve the question. So is it H or J? H says giving birth only in the spring and the summer ensures that offspring are born when food is most available. Question mark, right? Okay, or is it J? Deer give birth in the spring and the summer in order to avoid being pregnant during the hot summer months. Well, based on those keywords that I've just written down, I'm going to go with J, being wrong. Deer give birth in the spring and summer months in order to avoid being pregnant during the hot summer months. That's not true. They want to be pregnant during those times. They do not want to have their babies in the winter. So I'm going to go right there why that's wrong. And there we go, we have our answer. The answer is H. I'm going to go ahead and write H right here. So I'm going to answer choice. And I'm going to write H. And then I'm going to justify why the answer is right. Giving birth only in the spring and summer ensures that offspring are born when food are most available. Since the question is talking about natural selection, which means the survival of the fittest, deer want to give birth when food is available. And last but not least, I'm gonna write this down here while this is right as well. All right. There we go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowers. You can go ahead and have a seat. All right, so how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel pretty good.
Okay, so what are you going to commit to?
Actually modeling what the new paper partner strategies are instead of just saying it aloud to them.
All right, thank you. All right, well, I will see you Monday, and I'm going to be looking for our action step that you're going to focus on, implementing the paper partner strategies, but not only students held accountable, but also you held accountable when you're instructing students.
Okay.
All right, you have
Sounds
a good
great.
day.